everyone. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you bearing the cold. At least I'm reminded we're not as cold as other parts in the world right now. So it's a balmy, 25 degrees outside? So hope you guys are nice and cozy in this room. And thanks to all you guys for coming out. My name is Carolyn Finch. I'm the program manager for the Charleston Digital Corridor. Today we have a very exciting group of panelists, and I'm happy to present. We'll be talking about crowdfunding, launching a successful campaign, and the trials and hurdles that come with doing Kickstarter or another crowdfunding source. We have three presenters today from different companies. First will be Tim Bidin from ISI Technology for My Heatworks. Second will be Lindsay Wyndham from Distal Union. And then third we'll have Brian Ransom from Moondog Animation. So that's it for me. I'll do a little brief on the end, talking about our next Fridays at the Corridor. But we'll start with Tim Bidin.
There we go. All right, my name is Tim Bidin, and I work for ISI Technology, where we're making your next water heater, the Heatworks Model 1. Now, just to give you a little bit of information about our products, the Heatworks Model 1 is a tankless electric water heater. It's just a bit bigger than a football. It's going to give you truly instant and endless hot water with precise temperature control and no maintenance. So you can replace your entire existing water heating system with it, or you can actually use it to augment your current system. So a little over a year ago, we successfully ran a Kickstarter campaign for 45 days that raised over $435,000 through the pre-sale of over 1,500 of our water heaters. So today I'm going to talk to you about why we decided to do Kickstarter, how we set up our campaign, and some things that we learned along the way. So why Kickstarter? Well, we're a little bit different than the average Kickstarter campaign in that we didn't actually need funding to push our company forward. The main reason that we did Kickstarter was really to gain data and to test some assumptions that we had about our product. Now, one of the main things we wanted to test was whether people were willing to buy water heaters online. So traditionally, when you're buying a new water heater, say your water heater breaks, you go to your plumber, he basically picks one out for you. You're usually not part of the process. So we really wanted to see if we could get people excited about a smart water heater in a similar way that Nest got people excited about a smart thermostat. And once we'd done this, we wanted to gain data from these people actually buying water heaters online and find out exactly which of our value propositions they found appealing. We wanted to find out who they were and where they lived so that we could better target our marketing in the future. And another key factor of our campaign is that we wanted to run it at not really a peak time of year for crowdfunding, because we didn't want the success of our campaign to be due to the fact that it was maybe a hot time of year for crowdfunding. And in a similar note, we wanted to use Kickstarter because generally where you'd go for a hardware campaign would be Indiegogo. So we didn't want to go the traditional route because, like I said before, we weren't actually going after funding. We wanted to go for data. So we went to Kickstarter because you have a good variety of backers coming in. We wanted to show them basically what our product was all about and see what kind of data we could pull from it. So once we decided on Kickstarter, the first thing that I did is I actually went and checked out all the successful campaigns that were going on at the time. And the one that Jerry and I really liked was this coffee maker company. So what's really cool about this, just to give you a background of what this company is, they make a coffee maker that you can actually buy raw coffee beans, and this thing will roast them for you, grind it for you, and just make you coffee. So it was a cool product. What we really liked about it is that their video was short and to the point. Basically, you'd watch it and you get all the value points for their product. In addition, if you just skimmed through their campaign, the graphics would basically show you everything you needed to know about their product, and you didn't really have to dig down into the details. And finally, they had a great cause to get behind, because basically what they were selling wasn't just a coffee maker, but they were selling you a way to help out farmers who actually grow the coffee beans. Their idea was you could buy raw coffee beans directly from the farmer and pass more revenue back to them. So this was a very successful campaign and ended up raising over $600,000. And we essentially used it as the template for our campaign. So with this template in mind, we moved to creating our campaign. Now, before Kickstarter, we really had kind of an outdated website. We had a lot of technical documentation, and I think we all kind of had a vision for how to present our product to people, but we'd never really put it in one space before. Now, one thing we really wanted to get across in our Kickstarter campaign was how versatile our product was. So we have a ton of different applications you can actually use our water heater for. There's not just one. And we wanted to make sure that we actually got this across through our campaign. We didn't just want to target it at a specific group of people. We wanted to make it as general as possible. And again, this kind of goes back to the point that we really wanted to gain data from people, basically shotgun them with all the information we had, and see what people found the most appealing about our product. So, for starters, we did this with our video, and it's a very simple video. It doesn't have the best video quality or the best audio quality, but really it's just kind of Jerry talking about our company and our products. And I really have to apologize to Jerry on that one. It's hard to get a good photo of somebody from just pausing a video. But it's a really good video. It's a little bit under 4 minutes long, and it's just Jerry kind of talking to all the points of our water heater. Going into the campaign, we actually were focused more on differentiating ourselves from other tankless electric water heaters. So the interesting thing about our video is it's actually just Jerry talking a lot about how our water heater is better than other tankless water heaters, which is good because so there's somebody like technical enough to be buying a water heater online, they're going to want to know how ours is actually different than those other water heaters. But he also touches on a lot of different value propositions, like say, are you sick of running out of hot water? Are you sick of waiting for hot water? He's going to touch on all these points in the video that are going to make you see how the Model 1 can fit into your life in under 4 minutes. And in addition to that, we also decided to go for a cause of our own. So Kickstarter is one of the first times that we actually marketed our company as a green solution, something that's going to save water, save electricity. And it was actually a decision that we made while putting together the campaign that this might be something that people could get behind. And it ended up being very important for Kickstarter because basically people coming into Kickstarter are early adopters, and they're not always about just buying a better product. They're about buying into basically a movement, something kind of bigger than themselves, and they really like to support a company that's trying to do something. In our case, we're trying to be green, develop sustainable technology, and basically help the world move in a more sustainable direction. So that was our video. The next way that we kind of based our campaign off of that coffee maker company is we developed a lot of graphics to show off the different applications for our products. So one of the main applications that we wanted to show off in our Kickstarter campaign was the fact that you could use our water heater with your current tank type setup, which is something that no other tankless water heater on the market can do because of basically limitations to their temperature to their temperature control and their technology. So the way that we really did this is we used big headlines with questions. So if you were skimming, you could basically see which questions were relevant to you. It was stuff like, are you sick of running out of hot water? Are you sick of waiting for hot water? In this case, it says, do you want to get 100% more useful hot water from your tank? So you'd be able to see this and say, hey, I just bought a brand new water heater, but I have a big family. It's running out of water a lot. I can actually use this to improve the performance of my current water heater. Or I really like how these guys have energy efficient technology, but I'm not ready to completely replace my system yet, but I'd like to support it and kind of test it out. So this really got that point across, and we figured out later when we actually surveyed people that they actually got the point of these graphics, because about 40% of the people who bought water heaters through our campaign actually bought it for one of these, basically these new applications we created where you can use a tankless water heater with your current system. So our campaign launched on January 2nd, 2014, and we raised $30,000 on the first day. On January 8th, we actually got picked in the Kickstarter staff picks section. So we were featured on the homepage, and you can see it drove a little bit of spike of sales for us and actually pushed us past our $125,000 goal on January 9th. So we hit our goal within the first week. An interesting note about the staff picks section is we actually got some good relationships going with some people in Kickstarter going through their approval process, which is something that doesn't actually exist anymore. So you can just pretty much post whatever the heck you want to on Kickstarter, as was kind of made famous last summer when somebody raised like almost $60,000 for potato salad. But I would recommend actually checking out what the approval process used to be, because it's really good for kind of impressing people on the Kickstarter staff, maybe getting your campaign featured, and it's also just best practices for getting backers to get excited about your project. So we pushed past our $125,000 goal in the first week, and after this we started to create a lot of media buzz. So we were getting picked up by environmental websites, engineering websites, eventually tech websites. So we get a big Gizmodo article published about us on February 6th, and that's where you see a big spike in our campaign contributions down there. And just from that article alone, we ended up generating about 7% of our overall campaign contributions. So media was actually a huge factor for us in our campaign. Lots of times with Kickstarter campaigns, you'll see a spike at the beginning, a lull, and a spike at the end. We generally have a consistent trend throughout, except for the spike where the staff picks and Gizmodo article, just because we were having such good traction online. We actually got more press during our Kickstarter campaign than during, we were in TechCrunch Disrupt last May and came in second. And we got more press from our Kickstarter campaign than from that. So on February 16th, we complete with over $436,000, and we moved on to fulfilling backer awards and basically managing their expectations. So lessons learned. The number one thing that was important to our Kickstarter success was really that we were constantly engaged with customers. So Jerry was talking directly to the backers in the video, gave them a nice personal relationship with our company. And the fact that he was actually publicly responding to people's comments and publicly posting updates really got a great response from our backers. We heard a lot of really good feedback that, hey, you're one of the best you're one of the best campaign creators that we've had to deal with. So it's definitely something to think about going in, because if you're asking people to donate to your campaign, it's important that they feel like you're engaged and you're actually capable of fulfilling their awards. You don't want to be a deadbeat campaign creator and drop off the face of the earth, because it's really not going to inspire anybody with a good amount of confidence that you're going to be able to fulfill your promises after the campaign is over. It's also good to be constantly engaged with backers on Kickstarter, because you're going to realize things about your products that you might need to address in your campaign. So when we launched, we only had a few rewards levels, so you could buy 1 water heater at a time, 2 water heaters at a time. We soon found out that there was a demand for people wanting to buy a reward level with 3 water heaters, 4 water heaters, 5 water heaters. So we had to jump on top of that. And we also ended up adding a few more value propositions and applications to our campaign based on people's feedback that we didn't initially think were going to be things that people were going to be interested in. So the next lesson learned, and I touched on this a lot earlier, is the importance of basically gaining media buzz. And media buzz ended up generating almost a quarter of our entire contributions. Here's Gizmodo down here. It ended up getting us almost 100 backers coming in, out of a total of close to 1,000 who actually bought water heaters from us. So it's very important to be thinking about that. It really kind of goes back to getting your campaign behind a cause, like I was talking about earlier. Our cause was green technology, a sustainable future. It was something that was pretty easy to write about in blogs and get people excited about. So in addition to bringing in backers, it also got us a lot of publicity. So this is our video stats a year out. So this is through Kickstarter, and it still is showing up-to-date numbers. So to date, we've actually gotten over 100,000 Kickstarter video views just from those articles that were written about us during that 1.5 month span about a year ago. And over 50% of the people are actually watching it all the way through. So there really is just a huge amount of potential for gaining some buzz for your company and some basically free marketing from running a successful Kickstarter campaign. And finally, the lesson we learned is to properly manage backers after the campaign ends. It's honestly something that we didn't really think about at all going in, but you're going to be getting backers who are going to want to change their shipping address, they're going to want to change their orders, they're going to want to sell part of their orders to people from the Kickstarter campaign, sell part of their orders to people who you don't even know who they are, and it's good to have a system to manage this type of thing. For us, it was also very important because we were able to send out our survey through we ended up using this site called BackerKit, so we could invite our backers in. They could change their shipping address as many times as they liked. They took a survey, and then we kind of got the data back in these nice pie charts that we could then use to make decisions. So it was a great tool for us. There's a lot of companies like BackerKit that are definitely worth looking into. Another great thing that it did for us is it allowed us to basically continue to sell people our water heaters at Kickstarter only pricing. And we ended up raising an additional $17,000 through another 50 unit pre-sales. So it ended up working very well for us. The amount of money that we generated through BackerKit more than covered the amount of money it cost us to use it. So I would definitely recommend checking that thing out if you're gonna run your own campaign. So that's our Kickstarter story. If you'd like to learn more about our products or place an order yourself, you can visit us at myheatworks.com. And you can always walk 20 feet down the hallway and bug Michelle and Jerry. I'm sure they'd be happy to hear from you.
We have order forms.
Bro has order forms. So yeah, that's it.
So what's the Kickstarter price?
The Kickstarter price, it ended up being an average of around $300. And then our pre-order price was around $395.
Tim, like 30 grand on the first day seems a little unusual to me. Did you guys prime the pump somehow?
We did not. It's Jerry actually pulled the trigger without even telling us he was going to launch the campaign. So I was still back in Indianapolis, and we actually thought that we still had a little bit more work to do on the campaign. And then I guess Jerry just woke up on January 2nd and decided today's the day, and he launched it, and it took off. We went viral almost immediately.
So I'm new to the Kickstarter world, so this is maybe a stupid question, but what is that money that you get in? Is it equity in the business, is it debt, or is it just orders for your product?
It's just orders for the product.
Okay, so all that is lets people buy your stuff?
Pretty much. So ours were pretty much just selling water heaters. So we had our most popular one was just a single water heater, but we had the first 100 of those we were selling them at like $225. So we were giving a huge discount.
Product. It's not an equity vehicle.
Right. I mean, it's essentially discounted pre-orders.
Great.
But every campaign's different.
And people came back, I think, for $5, and we got them a lovely shirt and a thing.
Yeah. We had lower levels too.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Was that a value proposition?
Yes.
I was wondering.
They're pretty great shirts. High quality.
Can you speak to how you were able to get the Gizmodo and other things like that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The funny thing is we actually reached out to Gizmodo before our campaign launched, and we never heard back from them. They didn't even respond to us. And it wasn't until we'd basically been trending for so long online that they ended up picking us up. So I don't know if they'd kept us in their back pocket, the guy we sent the email to, and found us later, or if it was just some guy who just found us as a successful Kickstarter campaign. Because we did try to prime it, but it didn't end up working out right off the bat. It wasn't until we were a successful campaign that they then wrote about us.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
If we have time, we'll do some more questions at the end. Anything else?
Sure.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Nate. And it's stretched.
So we're Distill Union. We're a local product design team. You go ahead.
So I'm a product designer. Lindsay's graphics and web. She did a lot of packaging design and web design when we were at Philips, and before that, Digital Lifestyle Outfitters. If you're not familiar with that company, it was sold, I think, in 2007. Shortly after we joined the company. Their claim to fame was the first iPod case. It was a little action jacket. They did really well. The owner of the business sold to Philips, and at the time I was the only product designer there. So we sort of got absorbed into a much larger company, and then started doing the same thing on a sort of a larger scale for Philips. So we were working on chargers, docks, cases, speakers. Got a lot of really good experience in a lot of different sort of product platforms. So we got some great manufacturing contacts, other engineering contacts, and we did that for about 4.5 years, and then the company moved the office from Charleston to Connecticut. My job moved to Hong Kong. I'd love to live in Hong Kong, but I was burned out, frankly, and so we all just stepped off after that and started doing freelance. It was a scary step, but we had enough contacts and enough business to really just step right into that. So we did that for about a year. Really kind of missed each other. We'd meet for coffee, lunch, get together every once in a while and think, man, we could do this, right? I mean, $1 billion company did this. Why can't we do this? No business in at all. Like we were all. Adam was another product designer, so he stepped in. The three of us got together and we were like, all right, how are we going to launch a product? And Kickstarter was hot then. We said, I don't know how else to get the word out as far as marketing, and it really helped us launch our company. I think we put in $3,000 each into the company. You can't build a product for $9,000, so it was imperative that we run this campaign. Our first product, we got together and we had all these product ideas, and it was kind of difficult to figure out what we wanted to do first. So we sort of looked at our day and used that as a model. What do you do first? And that sort of became our roadmap. So we wanted to tackle what you do in the morning first, and it was wake up, and there was this struggle with your iPhone alarm. Back in the day, the buttons for off and snooze were right next to each other. So we really wanted to sort of separate that, because a lot of times you would, in your fog of sleep, press the wrong button and just sleep through. So we sort of separated those actions. That was the sort of the simple problem, one of the simple problems we solved with this. And there was also the frustration of losing your cord behind your nightstand or whatever. So this was our first simple product, and Kickstarter, we had to raise enough money to hit our minimum order quantity. So it wasn't 650 backers, so we sold 650 of them or so. But our minimum order quantity was 2,000 pieces from our manufacturer. So when setting your goals, you got to take that into account, that you need enough money to not pay for the ones you've sold, but pay for the full lot that you've got to order. So that's where we got our goal from, and it was a really great platform for getting the word out. We haven't until yesterday had a better platform for reaching this many eyeballs on the web. If you're new, you can put up a website and it can just languish there in the web. Unless you get picked up in some huge PR hits, this really helps get those PR hits. If you've got, people are on there to buy. They're looking for interesting things. They're looking for the latest, greatest, and you can really gain some momentum on Kickstarter. And that was the value to us. It was more eyeballs. It's sort of a more concentrated internet where people are ready to buy things. And then you've got, if it's successful. And Tim mentioned it before. It's a great test. Is this a good idea? People are in love with their ideas all the time, and it may be a bad one. As a product designer, I run stuff by her all the time, and I'll see the nose squinch up. Maybe it's not good, but if it gets past that gateway, and then this is the next test: will it sell? Because that's why you're in business to create. We're in business to create cool things, but we also need them to sell. We really enjoy creating them, but we've got to run our business. So it's a great test. So this is, that was our first one. We've done 4 since then, 4 stretched out campaigns here. Our products aren't that stretched. But our second one, the great thing with Kickstarter, you've got all those backers from the first campaign. You've engaged them on a level that you can't do at retail. Like at Philips, we developed, it sounds crazy, but within 4 years, about 300 different products. And that was, case variations, that was, colorways, all that, but a lot of unique products. And I never had those conversations with the end users. I couldn't tell them why I designed it this way, or so being able to get across that story is super important for the product and the brand, and Kickstarter allowed us to do that. So we were able to carry those 650 backers basically into the next campaign. We were able to engage them, before we launched the next one, give them a heads up as to what was coming. And let's see, what were we trying to raise? $12,000 for the stick-on. And I mean, we were able to reach. I think we reached that goal in four days. And a lot of that was the initial bump we got from our previous backers. They knew that we had fulfilled, and they really primed the pump on that. And once it gets past the goal, people are more likely to buy. At least we found in our campaigns, because it's worth their time to log in and sign up and donate the money. So they know they're going to get a product. So we found that was a huge boost. So that was 2,000 new customers for us. That really helped the business get off the ground. I mean, we got blown away. It was a very niche product. I mean, it was for iPhone only. It was a stick-on wallet. We were sort of minimalists. I designed a lot of cases. I didn't use them a lot because I just liked the size of the phone, and so we'd usually have a naked phone, and so we developed the product for that. And the product solves a lot of problems with the current wallets out there. So it was a unique solution because a lot of them are very bulky, or they show your cards off when you're on the phone. So we had to solve for the problem of basically we wanted to hide your cards and make them easy to get to, and there was just nothing on the market that did that. So Kickstarter was a great way to get the word out. We heard from a lot of our customers during this campaign that they wanted the all-in-one solution, because over 75% of users, they have a case for their iPhone. So this is a super niche product. What we thought they would want the case, and we heard from a lot of users that they wanted the case. So we then launched this after that, and you can see the drop off. Like it wasn't as exciting or different, or the challenge was getting across why our case version was different from everybody else's cases. There are hundreds of wallet cases. There was not another stick-on wallet. So that's what we were competing against. And we still continue to struggle. These sell about as well on our site and on Amazon, the case versus the stick-on. The case is great. I mean, especially our new one, it's a lot more protective. But we're competing against a saturated market. So our struggle is to tell why it's better. I mean, because you look at it and you say, oh, they're all wallet cases. Ours really is different. We were able to tell that story in the campaign, but and really engage our customers like no other platform. But that's still an issue, I guess, with marketing, telling that story. And then we got into this. This we loved. Like, okay, we're out of the Apple ecosystem, and we've created a product that I don't have to change every 2 years, because I've got to do new tooling. That's expensive for plastic cases. And so we developed we started looking at the wallet. I saw my sister's boyfriend had a wallet, super thin construction, but it was sort of a cuticle buster. It had these pockets that were hard to get your cards out, and it was like, man, we've got to improve this. We had no intent to become a wallet company, and here we are with sort of following this direction. But it was like all these ideas hit that we had to do, so we were like, all right, let's launch this thing and see how it does. And for a quick wallet campaign, it was good, and we got more and more experience going through these. I guess I need to move on to lessons learned. But let's see. So set a reasonable goal. That was one of the things we learned early on. make sure that it covers your costs plus some, plus the Kickstarter fees. You don't want to be in a position where you've hit your goal and you don't have enough cash to follow through with the project, because a lot of people get into that situation. We did with the snooze. We didn't account for a lot of the hiccups you're going to have on a first production run. I mean, it's going to be messy. Like, anytime you're producing and I should have known that. I've developed a lot of products, and there's always something that's going to delay the schedule, that's going to cost more. So you want to find out what the cost of goods sold is, including your fulfillment, so including your shipping. So build out I do this with clients now. If I do any freelance stuff, we'll analyze the product and try to come up with the cost ahead of time, see what the break even is, and often that'll kill an idea. Is this even can this be a profitable business? So it's really important to understand the cost. So get a spreadsheet, get real nerdy, get in there, and just go over all the costs that you can.
We have a slide at the end that's full of numbers and kind of a formula that we made up.
Yeah. It's important though.
You want to dig in later.
And so we found that creating early birds to get you there, early bird specials, so super discounted. Your product cost should be a fraction of the retail cost. So as long as you don't go below that, you're still, in general, making money. So try to give a deep discount in order to hit that goal. So you can give 50% off. And it shows as limited. It shows it's limited. That motivates people to buy. It shows they get a huge discount. That motivates people to buy. So they're going to hit that goal, and then the rest is gravy. So you could sell half of your minimum order quantity at a discounted rate to hit that goal. Then you're in business. You've got a business. You've got extra inventory, and the rest is gravy. So that was a good trick to fund early, because our wallets, they funded within 4 hours, because we adjusted that goal. Let's see. Under promise, over deliver. We learned 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. So first campaign, snooze. We looked at the schedule, thought we could hit a certain date. We published that, missed it. We had angry comments, people wondering. We kept them updated as best we could, but a lot of people don't quite understand what the Kickstarter is. You're funding a development product. What we learned on the next one, we developed the product a lot more. We had manufacturing a lot more locked up. We had a pilot run done before we launched it on Kickstarter. So we knew that we could fulfill, and then we pushed that date out. So under promise, over deliver, keep them happy. So if you ever come back to Kickstarter, they're more trusting of your brand that you're going to follow through. Keep it simple, clear pledges, and a tidy campaign page. Do you want to speak for a minute?
Yeah, sure. We did t-shirts because I can print t-shirts. It can be awesome to offer something, especially if your product is a higher price point. Offer something that's a little bit lower to get people involved, that believe in what you're doing but maybe don't want your product. It can be a distraction if you don't know how to make bookmarks or tote bags. Maybe stick with what you know. You don't have to do.
Yeah, they didn't move many of those. 16 backers, 14 backers on a campaign that was
$500,000 these guys raised. So
more of a distraction.
But it was really pretty.
It's pretty.
So it did add to their overall branding, and they made it very clear. Just picturing. It can get really difficult reading through pledges, and once you post a pledge, if someone backs it, you can't get in there and edit it. So make your pledges really clear, planned out from the beginning, and that will help you and them. These are the same guys, just keeping people updated along the way. You can plan them in advance. So during your campaign, maybe you have a packaging prototype. So in week 1 or week 2, you could do an update to share that information, let people know that everything's moving forward, you're making progress, and it also helps you keep your page tidy because you can link to an update. So all that content doesn't have to live on your campaign page. You can have it elsewhere. We have more room to talk about it. afterwards, you are not going to be able to
This
get
is
into your
important.
page. It's going to lock down. At least it did for us. I don't know. It's been a year since our last one, but you can't get in there. So before it's over, add a redirect to your website or wherever you want people to be able to get to, so that that's basically a standing ad or redirect for you.
Because
after.
people won't be able to buy it on this site, and they need to be able to find your site easily.
So it's the first thing about this project. Here's a link to, oh, you missed the Kickstarter, no problem. You can get it here.
and you'll continue to see a ton of traffic from Kickstarter after the campaign closes.
And last but not least, when it's over, it's not over. You have to keep telling people what's going on, at least for us, for products, and even for projects. Letting people know, your backers know everything's going well, and if it's not going well, it's totally fine. We've got it under control. Here's our updated delivery date, or here's how we're handling it. You're using Kickstarter because you like the community, so to be engaged with them, we've really enjoyed that part. And it helps just build that relationship for future campaigns. I think the next slide is the
Nerd slide.
nerd slide. So we'll put this up on the website. That's how to get to your goal, so you can hopefully get some more momentum after you're funded. So that's project-based.
It's a quick summary, but yeah, if you guys have any more questions, maybe we cover those in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Or now.
So, is that the only downside to the Kickstarter, you think? Is the website locked after you finish the campaign?
Oh, the only downside?
Are there other downsides you can think of to
To using Kickstarter?
Yeah.
I mean, they do take a percentage.
Okay.
They take 5%, and then at the time it was Amazon.
4%.
4%?
I think. Yeah.
Okay, and then at the time I think Amazon was taking around 5%.
Mhm.
I think the blended percentage was, it got to account for about 10%.
Okay. Thank you.
And it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is, especially our first one. We didn't know what
Like
we were.
managing.
Having all those assets ready, you're doing a video. You can do it lo-fi. We did ours with our iPhone, but it does take time to build out your campaign and then keep the momentum going, try to engage people, get press. That does take some time. We're some awesome interns.
We should look into that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, so you needed to do 2,000 of snooze. Is that what you said? You needed
2,000 pieces. Yeah.
So you did
I think it's-
650.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Oh.
What do you do? Do you fulfill it? Can you bail?
Oh,
and
as long as we hit
money,
our
like-
goal. As long as we hit, so our goal was $50,000. That would pay.
You could cover
The
it.
minimum
thought
order
Would
was
pay for
Okay.
our 2,000 pieces.
So do you make that a perimeter of your campaign?
The goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With
So
Kickstarter,
if
it
you-
works that
if
way.
it falls short,
Indiegogo is different.
okay.
You can give a higher percentage to Indiegogo and actually take the money out of a campaign that hasn't reached your goal. But
Okay.
Kickstarter is all or nothing.
Oh, nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you're short, and you still know that you can, like if you raise
You can still do
$40,000 on Kickstarter, I mean you could feasibly call up your mom or your dad to put in the other $10,000, and you could feasibly return that money, but it would there would be the cost of that money, which is like 10%. So
And also, you've hopefully calculated your goal smartly.
Right,
and
right,
added
right,
it a little
right.
bit, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Any
we can
Any
answer
other-
them.
So maybe a comment on what you just said. So I actually know someone that in the last couple months did just that. They tried to sort of self-fund their campaign,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Kickstarter nabbed them immediately.
Did they try to self-fund, or did they?
They tried to do it through some other channels.
Really? Okay.
But you can tell that like, oh, your campaign's trending like this.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
yeah. They may have tightened. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And they made them withdraw the pledge, and their whole campaign. fell
Okay.
apart, so
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Or do it in smaller
Or
increments or
just
something.
instead use Indiegogo because they
No, they
have
just
the
Yeah.
give
flexible
someone. They
funding.
give you $5,000 and tell you to invest in it so that my campaign is funded.
Yeah,
But that jump, like you're gonna get a phone call.
yeah.
It's good
Yeah.
that they're paying attention.
Like with ISI, did you guys see a jump after your goal was achieved?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. I guess I've seen this before. I've noticed this in how I browse Kickstarter. I'll see something and it's cool, but it's pretty far off its goal, and I'm like, I'll check it later. And I think once it's funded, there's more motivation to. It's like, okay, this is a true pre-order. Like, I'm gonna get this thing if they make it.
I find that too. I like your early bird for that reason.
Yeah,
You're getting
yeah.
traction
Get
quickly.
there. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then I think there is a mental thing like, oh, they made it. This is
Yeah.
real. This is good. They're gonna, there is like a mental thing with that.
Yeah,
I
it
do that
also.
myself.
I mean,
Everybody likes a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're just
Kickstarter
like, this
likes
is
a
happening,
winner.
Yeah.
they'll post you on hot projects now.
Yeah.
And that even drives more
I always
traffic.
look at
So it
those,
just
yeah.
snowballs. That's yeah.
One other quick question.
Oh yeah, sure.
Do you have a feel for what is an acceptable lead time is for consumers?
Oh.
So if they're going to buy
Yeah.
this in the future, well, how far out is too long for them?
That's a good question, and I'm sure that affects
Different
some
products.
buying habit. I don't have a good feel. I know. We always discuss that when we're launching, when we're giving out lead time, and that sort of comes up. Like, is that too far out? And that does. I mean, timing affects it. There was a guy who raised $10 million on a cooler, and he didn't hit his goal. And the second time he launched it, so that I think it was he launched the project in the summer when people were thinking about coolers, and he did much better. I mean, I don't know that the Kickstarter, the veteran backers really trust those dates for delivery anyway. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure it does have an effect. If you've got something a year out, you're going to lose sales most likely.
It probably depends on the product.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're going to change gears a little bit because I'm CEO of Moondog Animation. We've actually been here in Charleston area over a year now. We moved the company from France. We started out over there. I started with two other colleagues, founded the company. So right when we started, we wanted to run a Kickstarter campaign to gain enough funds to do 5 2-minute episodes of a little short series that we were doing. And the reason we wanted to do that is we wanted to build our brand in front of people. We were 3 guys that came together. We've all been in the entertainment industry. We all have background, but we hadn't done anything together as a whole. So in order to do that, you need cash, you need to hire people, you need to make products. So that's always the great way to go. So we said, well, kickstarting is the fad. Everything's going that direction. So let's try that out. Unfortunately for us, it's a little more difficult because we're an idea company. We're not a product company, and Kickstarter has always been really great for products. Products, it's basically like a pre-sale atmosphere. Somebody's going to get a hard product a month, 2, 6, a year later, and that atmosphere is really easy. But when you're pitching an idea, it's kind of, you got to get people excited. You gotta tell them that being a part of this is being a part of a community. It's something exciting and different. It's new. So when we picked what we were going to do, we actually picked a comic book series out of Switzerland. A good friend of ours, and he actually already had a fan base. He does his own editions, so he had produced over 100,000 of these comic books across the whole European area. So he had a great fan base, a lot of backing already, and we actually picked him specifically for this project. So we took that, and in order to get the word out, because just saying it's the comic book series going to be in 3D animation, nobody knows what that is. Nobody knows what it's going to look like. Is it going to be what the fans want or not? So we actually put 25,000 of our own cash into it in order to create a short 30-second clip. And then we also spent 4 months up to this project doing marketing within the fan base, marketing across areas. So we treated, we treat Kickstarter as a full-on marketing event. So it's all on marketing. It's a full push to get the fan base excited, get everyone moving, and even people outside the fan base. So we were asking for $99,999. We actually raised $117,000. Just like they said, at the end of the campaign, you can't change the photo unless you actually know the design lead, which we do. So we had ours changed, but so it's actually not this anymore. There's a new site. But so unless you know somebody, you need to change it quick up front, because before that campaign ends, it's very important, like you said, to redirect traffic, to get people in and to know what you're doing. This is actually the video that we put out there. What we wanted to do was show the main character. We actually did a little clip where he's actually in the ring, and the voiceover is actually talking about Willie Grunch versus Kickstarter. So we actually got him in there. Kickstarter's on the other side, black and green, and they actually go in and fight it out. So at the end of it, he actually gets crushed by Kickstarter, and we say, well, he needs your help. And we redirect to the website. This was a huge hit in our traffic. I think probably 60% of all our traffic came off this video. We use this as our strict promotional tool. We push this heavily because it shows the product, it shows the idea, it gets people excited about what we're doing. So we pushed really heavy on that. Now, moving forward, this is the ups and downs of Kickstarter. So if you actually look within the first week, it's basically flatlined. And this was a marketing hiccup that we had where an email that didn't go out to the fan base in time and when it was supposed to. So the email went out and that helped, and that started to kick up the process. So we actually dropped a whole week off of what we were doing. So, but even then, when you trend, we said we're not going to make it. So we had to redirect. We sat down. We had a meeting. We said, look, there's something we've got to do internally, and because media campaigns are very difficult on Kickstarter. So we said, look, we got to get the fan base excited. There's something we can do to drive this forward. And what we actually did is develop a campaign called Workout Wednesdays, where we actually said any backer that gives more than $5 on a Wednesday will actually do 5 push-ups, videotape it, and say your name. And so this actually, we started out with Willie Grunch, our main character. He's doing his 5 push-ups. We pushed the idea of, okay, Workout Wednesday's coming up. So on Tuesday before that Wednesday, we were pushing really hard. And so that first Wednesday, we got a spike. And we got a good spike off of it. And people were starting to give. And then this is us, our crew, starting to do push-ups. And the great thing about it is the first week we're doing push-ups. And then starting to clap, we're starting to put kids on our back. And we're really starting to get people excited. So everybody was trying to one-up each other. And the more we did this, the more spikes we got. So there was no end. We used the cute factor. And at the end of every one, we said their name. So, this is actually one of our animators dressing up, putting a cat on his back. So there was no end to what we were willing to do. And you think, well, this is small potatoes. What's this have to do with animation? But it created a rapport with the fan base. Yeah. So you see exactly. Emotion evicts people wanting to share what's going on. So they were actually sharing these videos with their friends. They said, look what I got Moondog Animation to do for me. They would share these. More people would be driven to go to our Kickstarter campaign. So it had nothing to do with animation, but it had a lot to do with what's going on. And this is so small that it's hard to read, but basically what I wanted to talk with you here is that don't rely on Kickstarter to do your campaign for you. It's your job to move your campaign. It's a full-on marketing campaign for products like the 2 products that were being talked about. Getting into magazines like the first one did, into dailies or weeklies and they talk about you and talk about what's going on is really a way to build that. So brand placement, acknowledgement in the industry, letting people know what you're doing, it's up to you. You have to run your marketing campaign. If Kickstarter picks you up and they put you up there, all the better. But they're only going to do that if you're already pushing the limit. They're not going to put you up there if you're not pushing the limit. And that's one of those things where they cut back on their initial sales and gave those drastic. That's very important because getting those numbers fast is what gets other people to tag on. With ours, we got 40% of our traffic was directly off that YouTube video. About 30% came directly off our own website, and then another 15% off our Facebook page. So that was the bulk of our traffic was all driven by us internally. And then Kickstarter came in with like 1 or 2% that came through Kickstarter, and most of that was through searches of probably people knowing our name, went to the site and searched directly for us. So, overall, I really like to tell people that it's a full-on marketing campaign. We were doing 20 plus hours a day running this campaign. We were making phone calls, emails, sitting down with wealthy people. In our last week, we were able to land a $5,000 and $10,000 person, but that didn't come strictly from email promotions or anything else. We actually sat down with these individuals. We said, look, we're running a Kickstarter campaign. We want you to be a backer, and they got the major return off that. One was a fully sculpted statue of our main character and his girlfriend, and it was just a beautiful statue. But he gave $10,000. He did a huge service to us and pushed us over the edge in that last bit. So things like that. It's a push every day. And I really push people to plan ahead. Spend at least twice the time of what you're expecting during the campaign, and build the rapport. We helped run 2 other campaigns after this on products, and both those campaigns went extremely well. One was asking $75,000. They ran over $300,000. The next one was asking somewhere around $75,000 to $100,000 as well. Basically covering expenses for creation, and then they ran just 700 plus. I think they were just under $1 million. But it was all, and those 2 products we pushed them ahead of time as well, because both of them had backing from major magazines that said this is a product, and it was as seen and blah 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 blah. And the first one they had about 5 magazines. The second one they had about 15. So they had some major clout coming behind them saying that these guys are legit. They know what they're doing. The product is nice. You're going to want it. So just each piece of that, you have to think about it as that. And then deliverables at the end, cut off 10% directly for Kickstarter and the payment process, cut off another 10% for all the goodies that you get back. If you're giving back t-shirts, collectibles, and we did 3D statuettes and all sorts of things like that. We cut off 10% right there, so we're 20% in before we ever even do our product. So, you have to account for all that. I would say cut off a full 25% right off the top, and just your goal has to be that. So if you're searching for 75,000, search for 100, because you need it. And just every day it's something new. And fulfilling those backer orders are tough. Those guys are on you all the time. You have to keep in touch with them, because if you drop them, they're going to get angry fast. They put a lot of money in. With ours, they feel like a part of the community. We still have over 1,000 people on the Facebook page for Willie Grunch that we keep in touch with, because we're going to run another one, and we want them to know that we still love them and they love us, and the world's all happy. But all of that's important. Rapport is extremely important. So, yeah. So that's a little bit of our campaign, and any questions? I guess we can ask questions for everybody now too. So, yeah.
Got a quick question. You talked about marketing, and Brian, how you had to market everything.
Yeah.
And you're going through Kickstarter, but
Mm-hmm.
you're getting most of your hits through something else.
Yeah.
And so I'm sort of trying to figure out why you couldn't just do this on your own, other than
Today we can. Initially we used Kickstarter because Kickstarter had a name. Kickstarter was a named platform. It gives legitimacy. Indiegogo gives legitimacy. It's right now we're looking into doing our own, where we have a standalone website that we're going to fund episode by episode for a series. And we can do that because we have a name now. People trust us to deliver. They know that we can deliver, but up front, so. People don't trust us, but they know that if they fund in the Kickstarter, it's basically like escrowing funds. It's not going to go unless we get all the funds we need, and then they expect us to deliver. So Kickstarter for a brand that's not known, or a group that's not known, and you want to have that safety net, that's why. Kickstarter is a great piece for that. Indiegogo is a great piece for that as well. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess to anyone else too that went through a Kickstarter campaign, do you feel like there's anything that they could have done to make it easier? You make it sound like it was a ton of work, and
I want to scare you because that's what's going to make you do the best job possible. But it's, seriously, it's your job to do it. And there's, like you said, talking with them beforehand and discussing. They're very open people. They're kind of on the artsy side of New York. They're really open guys. They'll sit and talk to you for a while. So if you call them up and you say, look, we got this, and this, and the rollout, do you have any, can you take a look at it before we make a go? And so they're there for you, and they'll answer questions for you. And already they're making it easy by having a great name, a great brand behind you of Kickstarter, the platform, and everything that goes on. So, I scare people out of it because it's not. They're 50% of these fail. 50% of Kickstarter fail, and it's mainly because the marketing's not there. And if you just throw it up, the potato salad thing. I looked into this afterwards, and it made over $30,000, but the bulk, probably, I believe it was 75 to 80% of his sales came within his area, and even probably 60% of that was actually because that came right after he was actually featured on a news article locally when everybody went, why is this guy selling potato salad on Kickstarter? So it was an interesting news feed, kind of local guy sells potato salad on Kickstarter, and all of a sudden they got this big boom, and all of a sudden he's selling $30,000. Well, when he got to 20,000, it's like 20,000 for a potato salad, then it went national. And so stuff like that, it's still he had something very strange, but it wasn't until he got media backing that it started to launch. So, if he'd just thrown up potato salad and 3 people invested and nobody picked him up on the media, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. Yeah. So, I don't know if that, you guys have any on that?
Well, let's see. Your question again?
Is there anything that Kickstarter could have done to make it easier?
Absolutely.
Maybe like the interface and things that they have.
So just the hassle of changing the address later. Backer Kit is great.
Yeah.
Backer Kit's doing it right. Just your ability to, you can't reply. At least we couldn't while we were running it inline to comments.
Yeah.
So if you've got one guy just spitting fire, 5 comments down, you've got to comment to him, up. You can't reply to somebody on the comment stream. So there's simple things they could do to improve it to make it frustrating for communicating with your backers.
Yeah, that backer kit is really awesome.
Yeah.
That was a huge change. Yeah.
We're like, no, we're cool, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Not next time.
Yeah.
So is BackerKit related to Kickstarter, or is that a separate service that you purchased to manage your?
It's separate. I think it was by people who did a Kickstarter and they ran into all
You're so
these
frustrated.
That's broken. Yeah.
Well,
So is
change-
BackerKit
yeah.
also a fee for service?
Yeah, it's about, I think they charge 1% of your finished campaign funding.
But
So-
it's pretty worth it.
Yeah, we ended up, so for us, that was about a little over $4,000, and through BackerKit, we raised an additional $17,000, so.
And that's on additional sales and things
Mhm.
because through BackerKit, you're kind of able to continue to sell to those backers.
Exactly. Mhm.
That makes it's great.
We actually generated more pre-orders from them over the coming month than we did on our website, trying to sell to new people.
Because there are a lot of survey rules and regulations within Kickstarter. There's also the rules for changing your address and all that is very difficult within the system, so that's why they added on. Yeah.
So you redirect, you don't redirect to the BackerKit, that's only speaking with the people that have already purchased.
Right, but you can actually set up a pre-order link inside of BackerKit. We didn't actually do this, but you do have the option to basically send out email blasts and use BackerKit as basically a site to run pre-orders through.
Okay.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do that if we ever do it.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah, one more question? Yes, you mentioned half the campaigns fail. So
Yeah.
if you do have a failed campaign, and you guys didn't mention that you did, but what advice
Well,
do you have to
you mentioned
recover?
the one about the cooler. So
Yeah.
how do you do that?
So how do you recover from a failed campaign?
Well, he regrouped, looked he had a bad looking product. It was launched at the wrong time of year. I think he surveyed those backers that he had, got some data. I mean, it's great. Kickstarter's great for data mining. So he learned from that, adjusted, relaunched at a better time of year. It may just be a bad idea, but if you can make adjustments and make it more compelling, I mean, that's
Yeah.
like
Figuring
you
out
said,
the
it's
reasons you
marketing.
fail, like in
Yeah.
the center,
Yeah.
we were noticing we were on the path to failure, and we readjusted. We said, okay, new campaign ideas, and we didn't even come up with that until in the middle of the campaign. So you readjust, and before or after, I mean, the data that you get off these campaigns is excellent. I mean, there's a lot of great data that you can mine out of all of this. You can, I mean, just, you know, demographics and location in the world and just the whole 9 yards. It's all there. And that's one real great thing about the back end of Kickstarter. You know, we all had some slides that show a little bit of it, but there's a lot of nice statistical analyzation in the back end that when you're in the campaign, you get to watch and you get to know what's working, what's not working, who you're hitting, who's, you know, how the targets function. So after that, to readjust and make a better product and do better, then it's possible.
Yeah, one of the most powerful metrics that we watched was how many people finished watching the video. Was your video
Yeah.
captivating, compelling? Yeah, and I think we made some adjustments, got a better finish rate. I think on Snooze we reshot it, just made it more clear as to what we saw right off that, you know, I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty low rate of finish there.
The videos are important.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important. They have to draw you in. They have to be snappy. Don't go over 3 minutes by any means. Try to stick it within 2. You know, punch. Yeah.
The adjustments, you had said, you know, once you have a backer, you really can't adjust. What can you adjust? Can you repost a new video?
You can change text.
But
you
can't.
It's just those pledges on the side.
They
all
cannot be
your pledge
edited.
levels.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to.
What you're offering is set.
Well, you could change the
You can add more.
You can add more, but you can't take away or.
Like
it's already
if
there.
somebody's backed a reward level, you can't change
You
that.
can't touch it.
The
Okay.
only thing you could change on that reward level is the available
Number?
So
Okay.
you could
Okay.
like if you accidentally put in $2 for this reward and you had 1,000 of them available, but the product cost you $5 to make. Oops, they bought one. You can't change that price, but I can take that available stock down to zero.
Okay.
Add one or
And
two,
add
yeah.
more. Okay.
Yeah. And those early bird specials with caps and stuff, those help a lot
Yeah.
because you can do 100 cap on it or 25 cap, and you can actually level them up. So here you start out with one, so it starts out at $50 with 25 people, and then you can do one right after that's $75 with 25 people, and it gets people that frenzy of, oh, I'm gonna miss it. What's the next one? I'm gonna miss it.
Or you can keep raising the limit, and then the early bird special. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
100, and you're selling like hotcakes, and you're like, oh,
I can do 50 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But it's really good to have a plan. Know if you want to have stretch goals or not.
Yeah.
Don't get like
Yeah.
caught up in like you do have to pivot and make sure that you're staying relevant.
That's
but know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do because you're going to be beholden to it.
stretch goals. I didn't even think about this before. That's the funny part. We hit at the end. We hit early our goal, and we were excited. And we actually have a video of one of my colleagues running the entire block screaming, and I mean it was hilarious. And then we all got back to the office. We sit down and we go, oh crap. We don't have any visuals for our stretch goal. We don't have any ideas for our stretch goal. We didn't, we just barely scraped by. Well, what's our stretch goals?
Mm-hmm.
So plan those out, plan everything about it, and know where you're going to start pushing people because those are just as important. You got to keep the frenzy going.
And that's just for you. You don't have to do a stretch goal. That's just a way to try to motivate people to move back to keep sharing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's not like a level that is captured.
I have a question. Speaking of pledge amounts, did you notice that there's a ceiling on a pledge amount that people will start turning people off?
Actually, we were kind of surprised by it because we thought we were going to have a lot of lower reward levels to get people excited since we can have an expensive water heater product. So what we found is like hundreds of people would buy 4 or 5 at a time. We're talking about $1,000, $2,000 orders. And they were perfectly happy doing it if they're excited enough about what you're doing as a company.
case, did you guys already have shipping product before you did your Kickstarter campaign, or was this sort of your first build off Kickstarter?
Yeah, we weren't shipping products when we did our Kickstarter campaign.
Are there any legal things that you need to be aware of to protect yourself, to protect branding, or protect anything that you kind of learned along the way that you could share?
Well, you know, standard trademarking and everything like that, you have to have all that in place. So we make sure to lock down our products, and so that's always important before you do anything publicly. But then on the other side, because it's not an equity play, there's really no bad legal response, because what you're giving away is you know, for us, leveling up means, you know, digital downloads and stickers and T-shirts and small products. It's as long as you're not giving away equity and moving into those SEC violations and stuff about funding with equity, there's really not a whole lot other than trademarking and keeping your product locked down.
So one thing to mention is I don't think you pay sales tax on it. It's not actually sales because they're backing your campaign. So it saves you a ton if you were...
It's not considered sales per se, but
Right.
you log it as sales under tax regs. So, like
Yeah,
when we
yeah,
did it,
that's
it was logged under basically sales, and the taxation on the back end, you do have to pay taxes on it. So, and it's all reported. So that's
It's all reported income. But
yeah, it's all reported income. That's also important to know, because if you do it as an individual, it's your reported income.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. This presentation and all the slides will be available online. This video will be up by next week or today or tomorrow. Slides will be up shortly after that. Next month, in March, we're doing a Fridays on mobile integration, a new take on mobile integration for your company. It'll be David Elam from Payoneer Me. We'll be here, and then April will be a code talk on microservices. So that's it. Thanks so much for coming.